Fairly Awesome podcast, joined by Chris, Nate, and Josh. And we're going to kind of roundtable a discussion that we had earlier in the week about the differences in console prices and maybe something that might change the landscape here. Before we get into this, really, what we're going to be talking about is Xbox One Subsidy, right? What they can do. You see this when you get into electronics that are sort of everybody wants, but they're prohibitively expensive. So really expensive phones that people are like, I can't see paying $800 for a phone. Right. So they put a $300 subsidy on it. Or even for, iPhones or Galaxies or whatever, they do generally $200 seems to be about the $250, $300 now. Yeah, right around in there. Right. And the consensus is that you generally make that up in whatever your fee is to the cell phone company. Anyway, before we dive into this, know that none of this is even rumored by Microsoft. This is just us discussing something that could take place and maybe should take place. Don't know, but we'll get into that. Initially, this was a topic between Chris and I talking about the Xbox One, and the thought was, right now, Xbox One sits at $500 US versus $400 US for the PlayStation. Now, it's estimated that the Kinect is like a $120 device, the Kinect V2. Yeah. And that is really what's holding them back. And if they had released a SKU that was Kinectless, that they would have come in lower than the PS4. And that might have changed the landscape of, I don't think they need to do this for sales volumes, but it is something that's interesting to look at. It certainly helps cell phones breach markets, especially if they're trying to get you onto the new one when they've already got an existing one out there, right? They didn't need to do this when the Xbox first came in because there was no previous one they were trying to get you off of. So here they've got the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One. This is the same issue that cell phones run into, right? When the Samsung Galaxy 4, came out versus Galaxy 3. Galaxy 3 was still a really good phone. How much more did you really get from that Galaxy 4? Iterative. Right, exactly. Yeah. So you're looking at the exact same thing with PS3 to PS4 and Xbox 360 to Xbox One. For those that have them, they're like, totally think it's worth it. There are those extra things or whatever, but you're still staring at that barrier. So we'll get into what we're talking about with these subsidies. What if Microsoft gave you an option for a subsidized console? Let's say $200 to be conservative, so that the console itself was $300. And we had a couple of different ideas. One of them being that they would recoup this over the life of the console by requiring every license that plays on the console to have sort of like an online pass through EA, but it actually prohibits you from actually playing the content at all, even installing the content, unless you have the subsidy key. So let's say you have $200 in subsidy on this one Xbox One, whether you have multiple or not, this one Xbox One, and you want to buy a new game. New or used, you go to try and run it, and it requires a subsidy key. Now, the subsidy key, let's say it costs you $20. Well, if you're into Microsoft for a subsidy of $200, over the life of the Xbox, they need you to buy
12-ish games.
Right. Well, at
12 full games, give or take a little bit with additional content if they decide to subsidize the additional content as well.
Right. Well,
so a single
game.
No,
it'd be 10 games exactly, right? At a $200 at a $200 subsidy, it'd be 10 games 10, exactly
for $20 a piece.
Right. It's somewhere around 13 if it was a $250 subsidy. But let's keep it simple for $200. So 10 games over the life of the Xbox One. That's pretty reasonable, actually.
That's pretty
Yeah. The question is, would people pay $80 new for a game if they got the console for $200 off? So if you thought, hey, I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to play my Battlefield, and I'm going to play my Halo whenever that comes out, and you're like, I'm going to totally get this. I'm going to come in low, and I'm not going to even worry about it, because a lot of these games you get for Christmas or birthdays or whatever, and so maybe all you have to spend is that $20 subsidy fee. Who knows? right?
I think the other way they could make up the cost is maybe forcing you to pay for live too. I think there was a 360 deal with the live.
There was
You had to buy.
at the end of the live cycle on the Xbox 360, there was a subsidy that took it to a $100 Xbox.
Yeah, $99 Xbox.
Yep.
$99 Xbox, and then I think it bumped live up to
Pretty much double.
Yeah, over $100.
It's like $100 a year.
$150 a year.
Still worth it.
It kind of is.
Ultimately,
Yeah.
I think when you did the math, ultimately you ended up paying more.
It was like $40
But
more.
it was
Yeah.
like $30 or $40 more. But
But-
I mean, really, if you're
not
paying to get a console not at completely full price, like if you can't afford it right then, but you can afford to kind of pay it off in chunks,
Yeah.
you know, it's an option. It's an option that gets you into the console.
Yeah, that's true.
And for so many people, it is that initial sticker shock of $500. Holy crap, versus making it back over time. And the interesting thing would be if they did it for the console, not your account. If you had another Xbox that you totally owned, or whatever, all the content just works there. No subsidy. It's on the box itself. And the idea being that if it worked more like less like cell phones, and if you don't, if you have a data plan that's so low that they never really recoup the cost, and by the time your 2-year contract is up.
With the cell phone, you're basically locked in contract-wise, so you will eventually pay it off.
Right.
Regardless of how you do. Like, they force you to get everything that you need to get to pay the phone off through the subsidy. So.
Right. So let's say it worked more like car leases, where at the end of, let's say they give you 2 or 3 years, right? That's an adequate lifespan of a console. Right. At the end of 2 or 3 years, your options are your Xbox is, either banned, right? Or you pay off your subsidy. Right? So they could shut it down if you thought you were going to get away with it. But, I mean, really, at the end of that time, you've already bought license keys. I mean, it's not going to be $200 you have to pay off. Right? It'll be whatever that little bit left
balance.
is. Right. And you could do that at any time.
Like, if it, the way that they could get people into the game is offer a bigger subsidy up front. So say it's $300. And then it's, so the console itself is $200. $200 is probably reasonable as far as like a one-time purchase type deal. You know what I mean?
$200 almost puts it into the
Insta-buy kind of category.
I'll say cash in paycheck and go buy it, versus 500 is a little bit, so you need to plan that out.
Yeah.
Even 300 becomes a little bit of I need to think about this. $200 for a next-gen console, you're right, but
here's the thing.
It's more risk on Microsoft's part.
But here's the kicker. It's $200 each time you buy a game, right? For the life of the console, or you spend, like whatever it is, like how you get credit per month or whatever of what you spend, but then you still have to spend like $100 or $150 to unlock the subsidy code thing or whatever that you no longer need it then.
Oh, I see.
So that's something, just to get their console out there so that they're not having to worry about the buying period that much.
Yeah, and the other thought is that perhaps it's not as much risk as we think. If it's a successful subsidy program, you got to imagine that when Titanfall sells for $60, right? That some of that $60, yes, is going to, the game maker Respawn or whoever that is,
Yep.
And some of that money comes back to Microsoft Studios.
Yep.
So if they can just increase volume, they're already going to be ahead on this deal.
It was funny because we went into this and I was thinking, what does Microsoft get for this? Because they're already taking a bath on hardware now. Like, their hardware is at cost, if not actually costing them more to get hardware in. But they want that buy-in so that you'll make it your entertainment center.
Right.
And then,
well, the way
but it makes sense actually when you it makes sense what you said, that over the life of the time that you own the console, you'll actually end up paying more. But the problem is is it more beneficial to Microsoft to get that money up front, or are they willing to wait for you to pay that in with the idea that it's just going to be over time?
I think you're right. I think it is super short-sighted that if they do the numbers and they think that they can actually penetrate more market doing it this way, I think it would be super short-sighted to say, I want my money now. You know what I mean? Because they're already playing this for the long haul. And then you look at financial companies, they all play it for the long haul, and they don't their ledgers are not filled with red.
Yeah.
I was going to say, a lot of what decreases the cost, in addition to, hardware upgrades and stuff like that, making it cheaper, is a lot of it is volume sold. I mean, the more they sell,
Compresses
they compress the cost of the console, so it ends up costing them a little less because it spreads out their bulk cost for parts across more units. So dropping the price, what would be drastically by to $200 or $300, gets more units out in people's houses, and probably won't drop their costs significantly, but it should show some kind of impact on the cost of the console itself to drop it a lot faster than what you'd see with a fully priced console kind of trickling out into the market.
So I have 2 points. One, Google does this with phones, with their Nexus program or whatever. You're paying basically just whatever hardware cost is for their Nexus 4 or Nexus 5 now phone, and they're not actually, they're banking on the fact that you're going to be downloading apps and using a lot of their stuff, their programs and stuff, and then they get money back from that from advertisers. So that their whole marketplace is to get you to use their ecosystem, so that you're then being able to be, your information's being able to be used for ad revenue, basically. Right. But the other point is, you said something interesting about long haul, but then earlier you said, console life about 2 or 3 years. I think this.
No, I was saying that's a reasonable expectation of risk. That 2 or 3 years between SKUs. Because the Xbox 360...
Oh, you're saying with revamps.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because if they go for an Xbox One Slim, I wouldn't expect that for
3 more years from now.
Oh, easily.
3 or maybe even 4.
Yeah.
But what you wouldn't want is a short-sighted. You wouldn't want this 3 years from now, somebody to take the Subsidy and then the Slim comes out and they're like,
Yeah.
So you gotta 360 is hard
off.
to use that as a hardware metric because of the
How
redesign.
long it came out in 2005.
Well, the redesign too. All the hardware failure. Microsoft had the 50% failure rate, so they're like, we got to expedite re-engineering on this as fast as possible. Right?
Yeah. The thing I can pretty much say that we're already over the hump on that because we would have already been hearing. It would have been the first thing we heard
catastrophic,
about. Yeah, right. Exactly.
And that's why they made it like a damn VCR, is because all those fans in there,
the cooling.
The critical
is
failure
ridiculous.
was the cooling.
Have you seen the breakdown of both the PS4 and the? This is a little bit tangential, but the how much space there is. Those things are, there's so much cooling space in all those.
It does get hot though. I had a box of something on top
popcorn
of it.
on top, and you had fresh popcorn.
Peanut butter patties?
Something like that.
Peanut butter patties. It was just melted. Okay,
gonna
I'm sorry. What were you?
I was going to say Kleenex box, but that was going to go way to the wrong area. No.
Those are nice and warm.
Feel great on the face.
Yes.
Just opened up Pandora's box for that one.
Okay. So
no, but it was on there, and then so I had that on there, and I pulled it off. I was like, holy gosh, it's warm. It was freaking hot.
That's good though. He's doing his job, getting the heat
it
out.
gets the heat out.
Okay, so somebody had a point about the 2 or 3 year lifespan on that. So did you have anything more on that? You were just curious. I mean,
I guess I didn't realize you meant SKU, and now I'm tracking to what you were saying. It's like revisions and revamps with hardware updates and whatnot, and that makes more sense originally, because I was like, the first Xbox or 360 came in 2005, and I didn't get one until the Elite package was available, and that was when I first bought mine.
06 then?
Probably 07, I think, is when I picked it up. Maybe 08, I don't remember. But yeah. So it's one of these things where I didn't get the first gen. This time I kind of did. Several months later, but
yeah.
Yeah. One of the other topics we brought up as far as doing this is, if you look at something like the original, like the Kindles, the ad-supported Kindles, you can actually buy the ads off.
Right.
Yeah. Like you pay, whatever the difference is, you get it. And if you want the ads off, it's either the price difference or the price difference plus a little bit.
I think it's plus a little bit, actually.
And then you no longer you have a full blown Kindle, which
it's software controlled.
Right. Yeah. Which if in the market, if you think about it, kind of sucks, because if you've had your Kindle for a year and a half, you've probably bought some books and put them on it. So the way you feel is I've paid into, you've gotten money from me for ads. I've paid into the Kindle store. Why do I still have to pay full price to unlock it? Mm-hmm. So that would be a concern that you'd run into with this is, would there be a feature, and it would make sense to make one, to say, oh, I got the $200 one for Christmas. I don't want to have to deal with paying $20 extra for games. Can I just buy the difference?
Oh, buy it
and
out.
immediately pay off the subsidy? And Microsoft gets their money either way.
Right.
So that was something else we thought about, and that it makes sense.
Oh man, this does lead down a weird path though, because what I could see is on a subsidized Xbox, in order to get you to buy more games or in order to get you to meet the quota,
They gotta have more ads.
Well, I was gonna say, what if you went to go start up your game and it's like, here, watch this McDonald's commercial.
To a certain extent,
I don't know.
Right.
To a certain
Make
extent,
it
there are already complaints about the dashboard being covered in ads anyway.
It's
Because there are already ads.
better
on
on
the dashboard.
Xbox One than it was on the end of the 360.
Right,
Yeah,
the 360, every
360 cycle,
every panel had at least one ad block, possibly more if you consider that
And the
each
auto
square
scroll
was
ads.
an
But they
ad
were
block.
mute. They were mute, right? You had to
Unless you-
scroll
unless you-
over.
Well, yeah,
to
but
it.
if you were like going through the
Yeah,
panels
but
right.
to try to
tink,
get
tink,
to
tink,
yeah.
it would
Blip.
play.
I'm
God-
Chuck Norris. I saw that
God,
Chuck Norris damn ad
God
about
forbid there was
800,000 times for World
ad
of Warcraft.
commercial
I'm like,
or
I'm
whatever.
done.
Like right now,
Done.
there's the ad block, and I believe there's also a second block for a free FedEx theme for your Xbox. That's totally not an ad for FedEx.
No, not at all.
No, so yeah. I mean, to me, that would irritate people if you decided to try and go that route where you ad heavied the console that was subsidized. I think you kind of push people away if you were like, oh,
wrong direction for it, really.
So back on the track of the
Subsidy.
subsidies, what does that do to the warranty? Does the warranty still stay the same?
I would say.
I would think so.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's still the same hardware, just like a lease. If the car breaks down, you're still in a warranty period. If it's something that's not covered by warranty,
You pay out of pocket.
yeah, you pay out of pocket for it.
Totally.
Another point though. What about the rumors about connectless too that were going around? That you
Don't believe it.
I don't believe it
I don't
either because I
either.
feel like it's an integral part of the Xbox.
It
but
pretty
if
much
it goes
is.
that route, that might.
I think we are more likely to see. This is again just conjecture, speculation on my part. I think we are more likely to see a much, maybe the second gen or maybe another SKU or something. But I think we are more likely to see one that doesn't have a Blu-ray player in it, that goes entirely digital.
Yeah.
You know
They're
what I
gonna
mean?
have to increase that hard
that would
drive
be hard,
so
though.
much more.
This
Though.
console.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
I
So,
think
yeah.
I think we're more likely to see them make that decision, and you have the choice. If you don't like that,
if you already
the one
have a
with the-
Blu-ray player, or you're not buying it to
Yeah,
play
but
Blu-rays,
like
you're planning
I mean,
on
their
being mostly
whole
digital.
thing at E3 was doubling down on the family entertainment center.
Yeah,
you
but then
remove
you
the
don't need
Blu-ray.
a Blu-ray player to do that though.
Right.
You can buy all of it on Amazon Instant Video, which is on there.
Yeah.
You can buy. I mean, you can
Netflix.
view all the
Yeah.
stuff you want without ever putting a Blu-ray in there. And you got to look at 25 years from now. Do we really think that disc distribution is going to be the way you get your media?
25 years from now? No.
So I'm saying.
No, I mean
It's
and that's-
feasible, and I realize we want to hang on to the vinyls and hang on to the cassettes, but
Nobody hangs on
sometime
to
the
Hipster.
media is just gonna.
I own one game for my Xbox, and it's Battlefield 4, and I bought it on the marketplace.
You bought it digitally,
Correct.
yeah, and
Because I was like,
And
I've
now
got
look at your hard drive.
11.3% used. Really, Microsoft? Really?
Yeah.
so
We'll
10
sa-
games.
We'll save that.
Well,
for
there goes
another-
your 10 games with your subsidy
well,
piece. Too.
Your hard drive's full.
Gone. Yeah.
but to the other side of that, the counterpoint to that is that you can move games onto USB storage.
that was my other.
Can it run from USB?
Yeah.
storage?
Can it run?
I don't think so.
So yeah, you have to transfer if you want to play a game, but you can at least keep all your games.
This is why I buy
Stored
like 3
offline.
terabyte hard drives and just load everything
Yes.
up on my games. I'm
Yeah.
like, download all the games so they're clickable.
All the games.
It's
Yeah.
horrible. That's horribly inefficient, but it's what I do.
In retrospect, perhaps 500 gig hard drive wasn't the wisest idea on a console that required, one, we were going to higher def everything,
Yes.
and two, it required install on everything. However, the Battlefield is what it is, right?
NBA 2K14, 48 gig install. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But we're
Sweat particles.
we're looking at that. Okay, another option here. We'll switch gears on the subsidy. The other option is that they can do the Xbox Live. There could be the Xbox Live subsidy program. I mean, I think we very quickly touched on that.
Yep.
But if it was no, it would be gold, but it would be gold plus, right? You'd get nothing more. But it's the gold for subsidy. You can take that option.
It basically is the same thing the 360 did.
They've shown that they can already do
lower
that.
price, but the more expensive gold account.
And it locks you in, which is closer to a phone program.
Topic for another time. We're gonna have to do our Xbox Platinum idea that we had talked about before.
Totally agree.
We really should do
we should.
Because I think that would be cool. I think people would dig that, and then Microsoft would pay us.
All right, guys. So you tell us what you think of our ideas about Xbox One subsidies. Whether you think these ideas are total crap, maybe they are.
Could be.
Yeah, it could be.
Or probably. Or whether you've got some ideas about how they could do it, or if you've got any things to like sort of poke holes in our theories.
Don't count on it.
Right?
Ball.
Something we haven't thought about.
I was like, what are you doing with the water?
Magic 8-ball
Definitely let us know down in the details. Like us on
Comments, not details. Comments.
Oh, right. Comments. Anyway, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Stop interrupting me, goddamn it. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. You get like the silent giggles, don't you? It's like when we're all trying to like get it done. You're like, okay.
No, not really. I just...
Wait.
It's like the G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
PSA.
Yes, that's the outtake.
You can see my back.
And the ghost was like, damn, what the fuck?
Dirt.